Welcome into the PFF podcast. Steve Palazzolo back here with Sam Monson. It is Mailbag Day. Sam, how excited are you?
Oh, I love the mailbag. Every week there are at least... So what happens is we get all this flood of emails forwarded to us yesterday, on Tuesdays, usually from Taylor.
Right.
And there's at least 2 or 3 of them that make me genuinely laugh out loud during the course of reading them before selecting them for the podcast.
Yeah, it's really a fun process. Surfing through all of the emails. Plus on Wednesdays, Sam and I sometimes eat those donuts over at Holtman's.
Sometimes? Always.
Maybe every week.
We figured out that the true top of the pyramid of the donuts is the maple bacon on yeast.
Yeah,
not
yeast.
cake, yeast.
Yeah.
Maple
However,
bacon.
the cake maple bacon is still number 3 for you.
Yeah, I mean it's
in the pantheon.
Look, it's still maple bacon.
Have you had the Oreo donut?
Oreo's pretty solid.
It's a good one.
Yeah, Oreo's good too. But
Yeah,
we
can't-
appreciate that Holtman's
Cake,
down the
cake
road.
or the maple bacon on yeast is not going to be beaten. That is top.
Yeah, so that's kind of your staple every single week. You get that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then maybe try something else new
Exactly.
and experiment.
You make
but
sure you've got the good one in the bank, and then you start experimenting.
you diversify your donuts every week. You get the safe one. You get the high.
Got to keep the safe one though.
Yes, you get the high upside one. But look, we had a lot of emails. We had to cut a lot. We're cutting more and more every week,
Yeah,
which
it's become tough to select them all.
we apologize for. We had new states too. Do we have new states?
New countries. We got an Australian
New countries.
email.
We got some just
Well, they're
from the south
in the
again.
south. We've already got the south covered.
I like more regional emails. Like this is from the Midwest. This is an email from the
The
Midwest.
Pacific Northwest.
I love a
covered.
good Pacific Northwest.
So we got
email.
one from Australia and Brazil this week. Only one of which we're going to
If
read
you're in
out.
the southwest of the United States, we'd also appreciate emails as well. I
Yes.
love that regional ties. All right, let's get into it. We ready?
Yeah.
Okay, breaking news today, which isn't all that breaking. Tyrod Taylor benched, Sam.
Yeah, the Bills benched Tyrod Taylor.
Cue the sad music.
Because their defense started giving up 1,000,000 points in a game. So we benched Tyrod Taylor, which gave us a last-minute PFF mailbag question, which came through Twitter from Kyle Houghton. I'm going to say that's pronounced.
And it's only fitting that you read it.
Yes. His question was quite simply, what the are the Bills doing?
It's a fair question.
I think it is. I think it's a very fair question. The bottom line is, going into the season, it looked like the Bills were kind of tanking. They were building for 2018. They were dismantling this thing around Tyrod Taylor, and it looked pretty clear that they had decided that Tyrod Taylor was not their quarterback of the future. Then they found themselves somehow, like 7 weeks into the season, actually still in contention. And they go, well, let's bring in a guy like Kelvin Benjamin. This is a contested catch guy. Everybody loves that. And then the wheels fall off. The Bills get rolled by the Jets and then rolled again by the New Orleans Saints. So now it's time to sit Tyrod Taylor down, see what you have in the backup quarterback, the rookie Nathan Peterman, and go back to this kind of 2018 master plan.
Well, look, people ask about the Tyrod thing all the time. We did, we break down Tyrod, and just looking at his stats this year, his grade breakdown, safe quarterback. He is the ultimate result, and I know you like to describe this differently, but the ultimate result is a game manager this year, even though the way he gets there might be a little bit different, right? So as far as doesn't turn the ball over, one of the best at avoiding turnover-worthy plays, one of the lowest in positively graded plays and big-time throws so far this year. I can understand if you're running an offense and you're like, hey, I can't trust him to really get from read 1, 2 to 3. He takes too many sacks, which is it's always been an issue for him with the Bills. So I kind of understand, but I also understand if you know what you're getting, which is that game, the ultimate result is that game manager that's going to take care of the ball. And if you play good defense and you have all these other pieces around him, you can win games. And now all of a sudden the Bills defense went from, hey, we were talking about them every week on the podcast, they're pretty good, to just a disaster the last couple of weeks, especially last week against the Saints. It helps Tyrod lose his luster just a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. He's a quarterback that can only really win in one way. If everything is built around him and the situation is pretty good, he's going to look good. He is a good quarterback. But if the defense suddenly goes to hell and he has to be Aaron Rodgers in every game just to keep them in it, and you have to win a shootout every game, he's not going to do that. That is not what Tyrod Taylor is good at. So you're suddenly... Now they're like, well, we can't win games at this point, but he's not the problem. The problem is your defense has suddenly turned to crap.
Or if you just think that you're bad, and it goes back to what we said about the Browns. If you just think that you're bad, You don't think that you've become the team that you were supposed to be.
Yes.
And you need to find out what Nathan Peterman is.
That's what it is. I don't think this is a real reflection on the last two games. I don't think they're blaming Tyrod Taylor for the last two games.
Right.
They've just realized that this contending thing was a bit of a flash in the pan, a bit of a myth. It's not really what this team is going forward. So we'll go back to building for 2018. And at no point does it look like Tyrod Taylor was in their plans for 2018. So that part makes sense. It's a little bit unfortunate for him that this has happened after the trade deadline, because he would be an intriguing option a couple of other places in the league.
What's the offseason quarterback carousel going to be, Sam?
No, do not. Don't do it.
It's going to be really exciting.
Don't.
It's going to be exciting.
Okay.
It's going to be crazy.
I'll allow that.
There's a 3-letter word he won't let me say anymore
No.
that the kids are using these days. But Tyrod is going to be available, and maybe Alex Smith's available, maybe Teddy Bridgewater's available, maybe Andrew Luck and Jacoby Brissett. One of them will be available. You never know. So
that's what the Bills are doing.
They're getting ready
for 2018.
For the carousel. It's going to be exciting. The next one, a good theory. What a theory right here. I have a theory. This is Nathan from Minneapolis. I have a theory. There is a fixed amount of ginger quarterback talent in the NFL at any given time. This year, Carson Wentz has been stealing the talent of Andy Dalton and Carson Palmer, Space Jam style. The fact that they are so likely to be named Carson or to have played on the orange-themed Bengals further points to a connection to a shared pool of resources. Sam, your thoughts on the ginger theory?
I think this is outstanding. There's a finite amount of ginger talent to go around, and you can only have one person stealing from that pool at any one time. You can't share it equally. So if anyone is playing particularly well, the rest of the ginger quarterbacks in the NFL have to take a step back to compensate for
I have nothing else to add to this.
No, it's brilliant. Perfect.
The ginger theory is one that I don't know if it deserves a spot on the wall in the nook here, just to kind of remind us to always keep an eye out for.
Well, if we could keep a running tally of who is stealing from the ginger talent pool, that would be probably a good one.
So assuming the pool is like 100% of talent, and then we
would need, we would need some kind of graphic of some kind of ginger,
like a pie chart,
ginger source of talent, right? Some kind of graphic of a ginger source of talent, and then we would just need to change the quarterback who's now drawing from it the most. So
we don't want a pie chart that says like Wentz has 80% and Dalton has 10%.
Just the pool, and then this season we have Carson Wentz's head at the top of this talent pool of ginger.
Let me talk to the graphics team. I know George is an avid listener. George, we're going to whip something up. We're going to find we'll get a little ginger theory graphic going. Perfect. And we'll tweet that out as well. All right, it looks like this one's from Canada. What's going on, you hosers?
What is that?
Oh, that's it's a Canadian term.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do I trust your Canadian knowledge, having failed so spectacularly to pronounce poutine?
I made good points. This is a Canadian term. I'm telling you.
Okay, that's fine.
This is from Alex from Vancouver. He's doing this on purpose. This email is for everyone because we don't pick favorites here in Canada, eh? So last summer, there was a popular GIF or GIF on Reddit.
GIF.
It's a GIF of Tom Brady scrambling and the Jets defense just kind of encircling him, waiting for him to slide instead of laying him out. I'm assuming out of respect. I noticed the same dynamic in this week's Thursday night football game. Stanton just recklessly lobbed one over the middle to Larry Fitzgerald.
Stanton.
Sounds about right. This is normally when I expect the receiver to get absolutely laid out, especially against the Legion of Boom. But instead, the guys around him just kind of ran up, roughed him up a little bit to disrupt the pass. Then later, Chancellor was in position for one of his trademark Bam Bam plays and just sort of picked Larry up by the hips and put him down. So my question is, during your guys' time of doing this, who have been some other players who have been shown this kind of respect by opposing teams during the game? That is Alex from Vancouver.
So I don't think this is a respect thing. I think this is the sissification of today's NFL.
Oh, God, Sam.
The idea that you can't trust yourself to lay a big hit over the middle because you're going to get flagged for it.
Back in my day, we used to kill people.
I'm just saying. We've reached the point now where you can't lay a big hit and not be sure that you're not going to get flagged, regardless of how legal or otherwise that hit is. Guys are getting flagged for roughing the passer, for sacking the quarterback too hard. That was too violent a hit on the quarterback. We're going to flag that. Roughing the passer. You're not allowed to do that. You have to just wrap him up, put him down. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing guys come over the middle, and you're thinking, I could lay this guy out, but I might get flagged 15 yards.
There's something to that.
I'm just going to take him down.
No, there is something to that, but it's also like when you hit Tom Brady hard, it's probably going to, get more of a response than when you hit Cam Newton. So if you're going to, it's not so much like everybody's like, oh, the greatest quarterback of all times over here, let's not hit him too hard. It's like, we know that every time you touch Tom Brady, there might be a fine or a flag coming. With Cam, there's not really. So it's not, I don't know if it's pure respect.
Well, the other thing Cam is coming at you. There's a pretty good chance he's going to hit you as much as you're going to hit him.
No, I get that,
so, whereas Tom Brady is unlikely to be lowering the shoulder into a safety and trying to win the contact point.
I don't know. Young Tom used to throw his body around, especially on reverses.
That was before he was drinking all the water.
So quick answer, it's not respect, it's the sissification of the NFL. New player idea. Why don't gunner-esque players become long snappers? There are all kinds of rules regarding how you can't hit the long snapper because his head is down, so size doesn't seem like it would matter. Using someone who's faster would then be more useful on covering the return. What do you think? Thanks, and keep up the good work, from Parker.
I love this as an idea.
They still have to block.
They don't.
Just can't get...
Look at what a long snapper does now. He just has that ridiculous extra wide splayed leg thing, right, in order to allow him to snap the ball.
So you need flexibility.
Yes. All he is doing is snapping the ball between his legs, standing up and running straight down the middle of the field, because you can't even line up opposite him anymore. You have to be either side of the long snapper. You can't cover him up.
So you're just going to grab a safety?
You get the fastest guy in college who's not very good at playing and teach the guy how to long snap. And then all that guy needs to do is long snap the ball and heave himself down the middle of the field. You get a third gunner.
You can't just teach people how to long snap.
Why not? That's what long snappers do.
There are 32 long snapping jobs in the world.
Yes. And they all go to people not good enough to play football.
Look, my friend Zach Diossi.
Yes.
Got drafted as a linebacker.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He can play real football.
And how much does he play real football now?
But that's like the dream job. He has not taken one snap at linebacker for the New York Giants. He stepped in as their long snapper and made a 10-year career out of it. Good job, Zach.
I'm saying it's a great career. I'm just saying that you don't need to be able to play football to do it.
But he was good enough to play football. He just chose to not play football and to just long snap. There are 32 long snap jobs in the world.
And I'm saying several of them could go to people that are faster than the people currently doing them.
This needs to be from the ground up. I mean, you don't just overnight just teach people how to long snap. I think it's you have to train good athletes to do it at a young age and get them going.
There are plenty of people that can long. It's not that hard a job. I mean, it's hard to do it accurately and all that kind of stuff, but that takes a bit of practice. You get people that can be... The fullback for Jacksonville long snap this week.
And it was terrible.
It got to where it was supposed to go. They made the kick.
It was high.
Ish.
Have we seen his grade? We grade accuracy on every snap. There's no way it was fine.
It got there.
We take the timings every time. You need to be in that 0.6, 0.65 range. You can't be doing it in 0.75.
You'll be fine. Like, you just take your you go combing the college landscape now. There are going to be plenty of speedy receivers that have no prospect at the next level. And you say, son, you're going to spend your Friday afternoons learning how to long snap. Take some yoga, Pilates, whatever it is you need to get that extra wide, splayed leg technique.
Splayed leg technique, yep.
You get that down, get the flexibility to do that, learn how to long snap back, and then we're going to use your speed down the field to make these tackles. Now you've got 3 gunners coming at you. This isn't a pincer movement anymore. This is like a trident. This is a trident coming down the field to spear the punt returner.
So 2 gunners and
a middle gunner. A middle gunning long snapper. Perfect. I love it.
Okay, general idea, I like it, but the idea that anybody can just roll out of bed and long snap,
I didn't look. There's a bit of practice involved, but start them in college. You'll get the long snapper by the time you hit the NFL.
I agree. You need to start training guys. All right, pretty good idea, Parker. We're changing the game. Poke holes if there's something we're missing here, but
there are no holes in that. None.
Okay. Hi, PFF. I hope this makes it to the Mailbag show. Well, guess what? It did.
Success.
I am a longtime listener and fan of both of you equally.
I don't believe that can ever be true.
It's like all things equal, which is never really the case.
No.
I also was born and raised in the teamless Los Angeles of the recent past, which created a fandom dilemma for me all of my life. This was solved 4 years ago and change. When I started attending college in the suburbs of Cleveland, I quickly became a huge Browns fan and remained dedicated to the team through last season. Now that I've graduated and returned to LA with its bounty of teams, a problem has emerged. I've gotten to attend the Rams-Seattle and Rams-Texans games, and I'm feeling my allegiance to the Browns lessened by the day. If each of you could take a side, preferably Steve with the Browns and Sam with the Rams, and debate which is a team more worthy of my fandom, that would be great. Why did I get the Browns?
I don't know, but we're gonna flip this because I'll take the Brown side. Not because there's anything worthwhile about staying committed to being a fan of the Browns, because frankly, the Browns are still the Browns.
I have a Browns answer.
I'm just saying you already picked. You can't go changing allegiances now.
I didn't pick.
Not you.
Oh, he picked.
Gabe. Gabe has already picked.
Oh,
He
you're
is
taking the
a
Browns.
fan. The end.
You're stuck.
Yeah, you're therefore locked into the Browns until you die.
So what if we just both convince him to stay with the Browns?
Well, see, here's the thing. I think there's room for both here. The Browns are in the AFC. The Rams are in the NFC.
Conference rule does apply.
You now live in Los Angeles. You have local access to the Rams. The way things are going, it's going to be a long time before they could face each other in the Super Bowl.
That's a good point, too.
So I think there's room to maintain your Browns fandom on the quiet, obviously, because,
Yeah, until they get good, and then you're like, hey, I've been here the whole time.
Exactly.
I've been here the whole time.
And you can still like the local home team Rams because they're local and they're doing well and they're not directly competing against the Browns week in, week out. So I think there's room to do both of these
Man,
things.
I'm with you, Sam. I'm gonna say do both. I'm gonna say jump on 2 feet in on the Rams bandwagon.
But I
Jared
think-
Goff, Aaron Donald,
Yeah.
new systems, everything.
But you definitely can't just go, right, I'm done with the Browns now. I'm moving to another team. You can't do that. That goes against the fundamental creed of being a fan. It's written in the 10 fan commandments somewhere
What is?
that you can't just dump a team and go to somewhere else because they
You
suck.
can't. Oh, no, that's fine. And look, I'm all for having 2 teams if you want to.
Not
people
always.
frown
Just,
upon
I don't like it generally, but like in specific circumstances where it fits, fair enough.
Or like if one's the Browns, like you kind of need that backup.
No, I don't. You see, only in a situation like this, right? You came from the Browns. You didn't have a team when you were picking the Browns. Los Angeles didn't have a team. Now they do. They don't directly cross over with the Browns. I think there's space for an extra team here. I don't think you can just go, I'm a Browns fan. They're terrible. Therefore, I'm going to start, cheering on the Giants as well. Generally, the Giants rather than this season Giants, because that wouldn't help you.
Generally, right. I will say, to just keep you with the Browns, too, my pep talk would say, trust the process. Just trust. Get involved in the process. Enjoy the offseason, every single offseason as you're building hope, building that team. Half the year there's hope and, promise.
Yeah.
The other half they're playing football and it's not. But there's half the year it's, what are we going to do? How are we going to build this team? That's fun. Team building.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we answered that one. That's done.
It's answered.
Problem solved.
I have an offensive line related question. Why don't teams train bad offensive linemen in one aspect of pass protection? For example, Snacks Harrison is dominant against the run, but doesn't make nearly the same impact as a pass rusher. So what I'm suggesting is taking linemen later in the draft and focus their skill set solely on pass rushing.
I think you meant pass
blocking, right. And have another one that focuses on run blocking. That seems like a better idea than the Seahawks throwing out a putrid offensive line that they keep on the field for all situations. Could this work? Is this idea idiotic? I'd love to know. That's RJ at RJ Sunbeak.
I would
Sunbeak?
suggest that this is closer to idiotic than an idea that could work. Here's the thing. If you could teach an offensive lineman to pass block, you would do that, regardless of what you were running, because that's your biggest problem. These guys cannot pass protect. It's an issue. We're done. Like, if you could just take a guy and go, all you're working on is pass protection, we're going to get you capable in this area, George Fant wouldn't be a problem, because they would have gone, look, George, don't even think about the run, son. Figure out how to keep Russell Wilson upright, and we're good.
That's the most important thing, right?
And that's how that would have worked. So I don't think you can just, divide up the offensive line into run block specialists and pass block specialists, and you'll be able to develop half an offensive line on one side and half on the other side. And even if you could, that would lead you with the issue of you would have to basically tip what you were running. Here comes the run blocking offensive line onto the field. Here comes the pass blocking offensive line in the field. I think it might be a pass.
Yeah, the run blocking offensive lineman would have to still be able to pass block on play action, or else they literally know you're going to run every time.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. The offense is dictating the action. The defense is reacting to the situation.
So between that and the fact that I don't believe you can just teach a guy how to do that, even if you sacrifice the rest of his
Well, you think
opportunities.
anybody can long snap, so.
Last time, you're just bending between your legs and throwing the ball backwards. How hard can that be?
I don't know, but only 32 people do it in the world, and there's like hundreds of
That's
linemen
because
in
there's
the
only
NFL.
32 jobs, not because only 32 people can do it.
There's only 32 jobs, meaning they're the best. 32 best in the world.
Yeah, but the issue is that there aren't that. It's not. There might be 700 long snappers in the world that could be able to do it, but there's only 32 jobs in which they can show you that.
Probably not receivers, though. They can't do it.
I'm
They're not
pretty sure
strong
they
enough.
could.
They can't create that type of velocity.
Strong enough? How hard? Look, throwing things is not as hard as you try and make it sound.
It is very difficult throwing things fast and accurately.
You never had to throw them between your legs. What would you know?
I wouldn't. A quick break to tell you guys that this episode is brought to you by PredictionMachine.com. Prediction Machine, a new generation in sports analytics where they simulate the game 50,000 times before they're actually played. Make better picks with proven, data-driven analysis. Subscribe at PredictionMachine.com today and earn a $5 credit that can be used towards the purchase of any package. What do we got, Sam? Another, more Canada?
Yeah. We've had this guy on before last week. Crazy Canuck.
Hey guys, Crazy Canuck here. Love this guy. First off, to fix my issue of sitting on the fence of who I prefer to listen to on this podcast, I've decided to create a grading system to determine the score fairly. First off, I don't know how he's going to do this without our scripts, play calls, sheets. I don't know how
He's
he's
not in
going
the room. He
he's
doesn't
not-
know our assignments.
He doesn't know what we're really trying to do here, but, go for it, Crazy Canuck. Similar to how the grading works at PFF, I will award a grade per Mailbag podcast to determine who is better from an unbiased perspective.
Oh, this is going to be a running tally.
Yeah, that seems like
I
it.
figured this was just last week, but no, this is even better.
Let's see how we did. So here are last week's grades. Sam finished with a +1
There you go.
for differentiating between French Canadians and real Canadians.
See, I told you that was important.
Well done, Sam. Steve finished with a -0.5 for mispronouncing poutine and telling us how to pronounce it. Other than that, it was a fine performance.
Now, that to me seems like it should be a -1. That's not just one mistake. That's two. Not only did you screw up
On an
pronouncing,
entire he just said the rest of the podcast was a fine performance.
not only did you screw up pronouncing what was a pretty simple thing to pronounce, but you then proceeded to try and tell them how they were screwing it up.
Doesn't matter, Sam. It's still probably like a 45 in the 0 to 100 scale.
I'm just saying. It seems like a -1 overall to me.
Again, I've got... Oh, he still has a football question.
Yeah.
I played with David Onyemata for 3 years at the University of Manitoba, where he absolutely dominated the entire league. So far this season, he's proven to be able to hang with some of the best in the NFL. With teams constantly searching for the competitive edge in the league, could you see more teams begin scouting more in Canada to find these types of guys? Akeem Hicks came out of there as well.
A lot of guys have.
Or is there just too much average talent in Canada that can just as easily be found in America with less resources? Sincerely, Crazy Canuck. Do you have anything else on the grading process? I mean, you can't be complaining about this. You're a +1 right now.
It seems to be working fine so far. My only complaint is that it feels like we're being generous for your significant screw up. Major mental error.
Why don't you focus on yourself?
Major mental error -1 in our system. That's all I'm saying.
That was not a major mental error.
Of course it was.
No, that was physical.
You failed to read what was a quite easy thing to pronounce, and you then proceeded to tell people how to pronounce it.
I
wrongly.
carried out my assignment. I carried it out poorly. That's it.
No, it's a -1.
Assignment was right. So, Taylor, we're going to definitely need another tally sheet for this one, our podcast grades.
Yes.
And I'm
continual
kind of
podcast
looking
grades.
forward to Crazy Canucks grades.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to suck up or anything. I'm just saying
Really? Because it kind of sounds like that's the way you're going.
that's not how I roll here on the podcast. If you've been paying attention, Sam,
Really?
I'm not here to beg or ask for help or anything like that.
I don't think that's true.
I'm looking forward to seeing our grades, unless they don't turn out so hot. Your thoughts on scouting in Canada? On
Yeah,
Yamada?
well, this is something we're looking into. I mean, there is
What are we looking into?
grading the CFL. Have you not
This
been
isn't
in
the
on
CFL.
Khaled's?
This is college, though.
Well, that's true. I think there's general talent across the board, though. And frankly, Khaled, once we get doing the CFL, we'll be doing college in Canada as well.
Well, we have to do the college scouting for the CFL, of course.
Yeah. There is talent in Canada, clearly. There are players that have come out of the CFL consistently for a while now. There are players that come out of Canadian colleges for a while. So there's definitely talent there. The question that he poses at the end is the interesting one, which is there just too much average talent that that makes it worthwhile with the resources? Like, how much do you have to plumb into that to make it worthwhile to find the 2 or 3 gems that are kind of already coming out and identifying themselves anyway? I get, the question will be, how many players are you missing because you're not doing the work and the research into it? And I guess that's something that we don't really know until we properly hammer into it.
No, it's a good question because there's still plenty of FCS talent here in America.
Yeah.
Division II and Division III talent. And I think if you're comparing Canadian football, Canadian college football, it's probably closer to that Division II, III American level, just a guess.
Insulting Canada again.
And there's a couple Division II guys that have made it to the NFL. And, I just think you have to tap into that in America first. Those guys usually, it's tough to hide talents these days. Let's just say that. It's really tough.
In the hierarchy of, let's say it was you devising where we were going next and not, other people within PFF, where would you go? You've got the CFL, you've got Division 2, 3, whatever in America, and you've got Canada colleges, or let's throw a real ringer in there, international, the rest of the world. I'm just saying
Irish
the system
football
missed me, and I think that's a shame. Where would you go?
We'll get there in a minute. We'll discuss your system and where you ranked in this whole deal. I think I'd go CFL over Division II college here.
I like that.
CFL is it. So the thing about the CFL, though, it's a bunch of guys who have been scouted before, for the most part. There's some Canadian guys that maybe haven't, but it's a lot of guys who have been scouted. And the big thing is there's probably a lot of guys that just missed the cut. There's probably, if the NFL had their way, maybe if they could carry 70 guys instead of 53, then there's probably a couple players in that final 17 that end up becoming contributors. Those guys end up in Canada. And the difference between them, as undrafted free agents, as rookies, to maybe their third or fourth year removed from college, there could be some significant development. So I think it's almost like tracking,
or even just getting the chance to play,
or just getting a chance to play.
A lot of these guys at the bottom of the depth chart. The issue is not necessarily that they can't cut it;
it's that we
just don't see these guys get reps to show us we're wrong. If you get the guy close up and he suddenly. You see a lot of guys who get the opportunity because of 2 or 3 injuries. They suddenly get vaulted up the depth chart, and then it's, holy crap, look what we've had sitting on the bench this entire time. That's basically what you're talking about at the CFL. The only difference is these guys are playing week in, week out, and you kind of get to see them again.
Okay, so do you agree CFL over, say, Division 2 and 3 of college and Canadian colleges?
Yeah, probably just because of the lower amount of teams. You could do the CFL. It's a lot less to look at than it is to take on the entirety of Division 2.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, I'm on board with that.
Hello again, Steve. How is it the teams with freak athletes don't use them more in unconventional ways? Shouldn't Jadeveon Clowney be lined up as a wildcat quarterback when they're inside the 5 and just run QB blast with the occasional jump ball to nuke? Wouldn't a Khalil Mack beast mode look running the read option be effective on the goal line? Or on the flip side, why the hell aren't Gronk or Travis Kelce rushing the passer in obvious passing downs late in the game? I'm pretty sure they can give most right tackles their money's worth. I guess my point is some of these guys have incredible size, speed, power combinations that I feel they should be deployed in more creative ways, right? That's Sebastian Cote back to the podcast.
Yeah. So I think he started this off well. It was a good idea that you ran off the rails as he went through the email.
Yeah, the Gronk Kelce rushing the passer thing, I say no.
Yes. I love the idea of Jadeveon Clowney playing wildcat quarterback. So here's the thing, right? The NFL at the moment is all about freak athletes and mismatches that they create. So the reason that a guy like Gronk and Kelce to an extent are so devastating is because you don't have a player on defense that matches the athletic profile of this guy. You don't have anyone that's as big, fast, and athletic as this guy. And if you do, he isn't in coverage, he's rushing the passer. So the guys the reason you don't get a Gronk or a Travis Kelce to rush the passer is that the athletic guys in defense are already doing that, and they've been doing it for years, and they actually know what they're doing. You know what I mean? There's a bit more to rushing the passer than just being athletic.
Yeah, hand usage is exactly maybe the biggest thing.
So that thing I think doesn't really work. Those guys are already doing that. The other side of things I think does make some sense, though.
Anybody can run with a ball in their hands.
Yeah, to an extent.
And long snap.
Yeah, so it's a lot more instinctive, that sort of stuff. And the point is, again, those are your best athletes potentially. So you can get your best athlete and you can just hand him the ball and say, find a gap and make some space. And that's all you need to do down by the goal line. Like if the Texans have done it a little bit with J.J. Watt.
I like him playing tight end.
Exactly. So you look at the freakish athletic ability of J.J. Watt and you say, okay, all you need to do is run over there and we'll throw you the ball, right? Catch it. Job done. Not that hard. I think the same thing holds true. If you get a truly dynamic, ridiculous athlete and say, right, we're going to hand you the ball, find a gap, score. All you need to do is get the ball 2 yards further that way, make it happen.
Maybe I'm so focused on the Clowney thing, I just don't think he'd be a good fit for it.
What does Clowney have that prevents him from being a good rushing quarterback?
An injury history. You don't want this guy taking extra hits. He doesn't. He hits people. He doesn't get hit.
Whatever.
And running's not as simple as here's daylight, go. You follow your blocks. You gotta.
It is down by the goal line.
Traffic. You pile through traffic and stuff.
Yeah, down by the goal line, it's a case of just find some daylight and hit the gap.
I don't know. So this was my argument about Tim Tebow all the time.
But
right?
this is why I don't like. So the only creativity teams have in terms of using defensive players on offense for the most part is you get a fat guy and you line him up a fullback, right?
Yeah, but we see that doesn't work either because they don't know how to block.
Because that's pointless. Because all you're doing is asking a big guy to create space by running into another big guy, which is going to create a pile. That's incredibly stupid.
Maybe just use more spread concepts.
Two large things running together in a hole is not going to create space. It's going to create a pile of fat. That's not a good idea. What you want to do...
You just have like 1 or 2 quotes per...
And yet none of them are making it onto sound bites anyway. This is, look, I'm doing my job here.
Taylor, whip up some sound bites because Sam...
If ever there was a bite-sized quotable that should be on social media, that's it right there.
I'm humble enough to give you proper credit.
Thank you. I appreciate
when this stuff comes up. I'm just very impressed with some of the ridiculous sound bites that you come up with every week.
Anyway, that is not a good idea. But if you have a freak athlete and all you want him to do is get through that hole, he just needs to be bigger and stronger than the guy that's trying to hit him. Or maybe, fine, don't take Jadeveon Clowney. Here's one, Miles Jack. Miles Jack,
He's played running back before because you need some level of running back. Okay, I'm good with that.
Miles Jack is a better running back than he is a linebacker. I will maintain that until my dying days. Whatever you think about that, the point is you could put Miles Jack in as offense and use him as a wildcat quarterback.
I'm good with that. Use Miles Jack. I'm good with that. This was the argument with Tebow, right? Not necessarily the freak athlete, but everybody's like, oh, he's a great shorter yardage runner, so use him in the wildcat and all that stuff. And especially when the Patriots signed him, and everybody's like, why are they grabbing Tebow? And my answer was, former first-round pick who's on the street. They're going to try to see what they can get out of him. Look at it. That was way too reasonable of a take.
No.
Everybody's like, oh, no, they're going to take Brady out. He's going to be this wildcat goal line quarterback. And I'm like, he was like the 3rd best runner on that team, 4th best runner on that team. Why would you do that? Ever.
But also, when you take it to the NFL, he wasn't that freakish an athlete. See, the thing you need to look at is
I agree.
Cam Newton.
Christian Ponder rule.
Yeah, exactly. On a slightly less dramatic scale. For people that don't know, my biggest thing with Christian Ponder is that Christian Ponder was a good enough athlete to succeed and outrun people in college, never understood that he wasn't a good enough athlete to do the same things in the NFL. So he would be sacked more than any human being I have ever seen, where he has evaded the initial pressure and it just never occurs to him that this guy is going to run me down.
Right.
This guy is faster than I am, and I'm not away from him just because I've escaped him the first time. So he would just get chased down from behind by these defensive ends and smushed. But think about Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton's biggest thing is he is an absolute freak athlete. He is larger, faster, and stronger than you are, and he just happens to play quarterback. I mean, if you can get a Cam Newton in terms of athleticism, like Jadeveon Clowney, put him back there at quarterback, all he needs to be able to do is to do that Tebow dump over the middle thing on the goal line every now and again, just to make sure teams can't sell out entirely against the run. And then you've got your best athlete back there running the ball or potentially handing it off to somebody, to a real running back. I love it. I'm sold.
I'd rather just spend my practice time working on my inside the 5 offense. Get my play action game better.
You have no vision. That's why you have a lower grade than I do in this podcast.
I mean, I have no vision. I'm completely realistic.
You've no vision. You don't have.
Maybe you should be in the CFL.
You're taking the conservative way out, and that's why your offense is going to crap out inside the red zone.
I'm taking the efficient way out. If I have a good play action passing game, that's unstoppable inside the 5. I'm not throwing my defensive end back there to get hurt when I need him rushing the passer.
Whatever.
You did say something that I was very interested about, though.
Oh, yeah?
You said that the only people capable of covering your Gronks and your Travis Kelce are rushing the passer. And year in, year out, we saw this earlier this year with, say, Jamal Adams with the Jets. Jamal Adams having a pretty nice rookie season, doing all these different things all over the defense, but when he goes up against Gronk, he is still outmatched. And the line I used when the Jets drafted him and Marcus May, I said they drafted 2 safeties to slow down Gronk. It's not, I mean, it's not that cut and dry like they're in the draft from saying that, but versatile safeties are there to slow down difficult tight ends and slot receivers that are all over the NFL these days. But even the best safeties struggle. Byron Jones, the guy with the Cowboys, who I love in coverage.
Yeah.
He holds his own against these good tight ends. Travis Kelce owned him on a couple routes too. You can't keep up with these guys. Are the guys that are rushing the passer, your Von Millers, your Khalil Macks, who are bigger and they're maybe not as shifty as those safeties, are they actually capable of being trained up to maybe cover those tight ends? No shot?
No, same problem, because these guys have been rushing the passer their entire careers. They are not used to playing coverage. You can't just go, okay, now you're going to have to play cornerback against one of the best receivers in the NFL just because you're the same level of athlete as he has. They've done it with Von Miller before.
No, I get that.
Von Miller's been splat out on an island in the goal line against Gronk, and it's been a train wreck.
I know. Look, I understand. I'm saying more from just like you wouldn't throw a receiver into long snapper tomorrow.
No.
I'm saying from a long-term vision standpoint, would you spend more resources on and I'm generally completely against this, spend more resources on your Clownies and these other guys that are rushing the passer and training them in coverage a little bit more?
It would have to be a fundamental shift from their entire development, that when you get an athlete this good and this big, he doesn't, your job one is not that he rushes the passer. Like, job one is coverage for him.
And I wouldn't do that because I was vehemently against when like Deion Jordan was drafted. Like, that was kind of what he was supposed to be. Number 3 overall pick, 6'7", 270, 280, whatever he was. Not even that much. But the funny thing about him, it was like he was like good in coverage for a 6'7" guy, not so much good in coverage for like a coverage guy.
So I don't know if you can even create those guys, but it would need to happen like at the very basic fundamental level. I don't think any coach is going to say, no, we're going to take away our best pass rusher and have him drop into coverage every now and again.
Yeah,
it's just not going to happen.
I'm just bringing it up as a discussion point because the same thing happened with Clowney when he was drafted. Everybody's like, oh, he needs to learn how to drop into coverage if they're in a 3-4. And it's like, if you're drafting Clowney number 1 overall, and he's dropping more than 10 times in a game.
Why do they keep saying, by the way, that Justin Houston is dropping into coverage more than he's rushing the passer when it's not even close?
More than he has in the past.
It's like 4 to... No, they're saying more than he's rushing the passer. Twice in consecutive weeks, the commentary said that.
Really?
And it's like 4 to 1 rushing the passer versus coverage.
If only all of the networks had our information.
PFF, I know. It's crazy.
Fed to them every single week.
What's our next question? That was good. I like that. We got deep.
All right. Hello, odd men from North Dakota and Iceland. Is that the name of the country?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's Ireland, but I'm close.
Iceland? North Dakota. Follow the world tour of emails you guys are leading.
This is our Brazilian email. So there was a touch of the Ben Stockwells about this guy. I'm not going to lie.
What's the Ben Stockwells, Sam?
Ben Stockwell, well, by the way, we're insulting him again, so he's got to keep listening.
Oh, yeah. If we keep insulting Ben, he will be one
Ben
of our
has
listeners.
an unparalleled ability to take a really simple idea that can be summed up in maybe 10 words and somehow send an email about it that takes like a year to read. It's like 5 paragraphs long. And even when what's really impressive is sometimes he'll manage it in the paragraph. Like, he'll get 3 lines and it distills entirely what he wants to tell you. And then there'll be 4 more paragraphs after that are entirely superfluous.
They're informative. They're informative.
Sure. This guy had something similar with his email, a long-winded email, effectively saying, with the Broncos having taken their sort of playing savior, greatest player in history, John Elway, absolute legend of the franchise, now installed him as the GM, can you effectively divorce those two things? And can you fairly judge John Elway, the GM, given the history he has with that franchise and all those kind of connections? At what point is it possible to kind of to judge his performance fairly based on that, or is he basically there in the job always because he is this franchise legend?
Do you have a take on it?
No, I just think it's an interesting discussion point. It does make it very difficult to turn around and then go, well, this guy is underperforming. He must. There's no way he can't have more rope than a typical GM because he has that connection and that history with the franchise. There's no way they are judging him on the same playing field as just a guy they hired off the street to be their GM who, may have a bad season somewhere down the line.
So I think it really does come down to leash. Yeah, you have can you objectively look at him? Yeah. I just think you're going to give him a longer leash, and now it's even longer because they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the bigger thing. If they had made all of those free agent moves and failed, and now they're in roster rebuild mode, which I think they're really close to. I mean, when you go through that huge free agent overhaul like they did, whether you win the Super Bowl or not, there's this inevitable rebuild period, and they're closing in on the rebuild period. So I think it is about time that they start to reevaluate, are you going to be a part of this rebuild? How much are you going to do? How long are we going to stick with you? The Super Bowl may have bought him a little bit of time, and being John Elway buys him a little bit of time. So, I think that's where I am with it. They're not going to fire him tomorrow, but he's got a longer leash.
So that is our Brazilian email. We have one more email, which I've put on. It's not even a question in this email, but I've put it there because there is no way that this didn't come either via Taylor in some sort of fake email or one of Taylor's relatives or close. There's something wrong with this.
Where is
right? I have it here. I'll read it.
Oh, okay.
Dear Sam and Steve,
Hi.
Fine start. No red flags yet.
Addressed to us.
Exactly.
Yep.
You're both great. Again, no red flags yet.
Feeling good about this one.
Keep doing what you're doing. But the guy who should be winning the email tally is Taylor. So count this one for him. He's clearly the unsung hero of this ragtag operation, ruling from behind the curtain while the Giant and the Voice count meaningless points and bicker about who's better. Now, there's a red flag at this point. I mean, this doesn't sound on the level entirely.
Signed Taylor?
The background music from the Week 10 review pod was simply amazing. Granted, that was.
We did have some good.
I'm good there.
We had some good sounds on. If you guys haven't heard the review pod yet, we threw some sound bites in there. Some good stuff.
The elevator music while you bozos droned on had me in stitches.
Wait, I don't like this guy anymore.
Turns out that was Muzak. I was right. There's some other word for it, though, that I've never been able to nail down again. I still haven't. Anyway, I'm not even sure what you talked about during the remainder of the podcast, but I'm pretty sure Taylor needs a raise. Don't ever change George in Tennessee. There's no way that George in Tennessee is a real human being.
Does not exist.
This is coming straight from Taylor's email.
No, you cannot circle Tennessee as a place that we got an email from. It came from Cincinnati, Ohio, in your office that we're sitting right next to.
Yes, you have somehow just created a fake email and written this in, Taylor. This did not come from a real person.
Wrote it in pen, Tennessee. Can't take it away.
No, this is fake news. This is
doesn't exist. I'm not buying this.
No.
And way to email the podcast from your own email account.
Taylor.
We saw where it came from. Where's the guy that mentioned about me playing at the highest level of my sport and you not?
No, I'm not having any of that.
Where did that come from?
Some guy.
You tweeted it.
Yes, that was cold.
Hello, former. What did he ask after this?
Well, the questions weren't good enough to get that on the show.
Well, I like the intro. Hello, former amateur football player. That's you.
Yeah.
And former pro baseball player. That would be me.
Yes. That's cold. You're taking that to a place it didn't need to go.
This is one that Sam completely filtered out of the show, but next week, if you can address us like that again, maybe you'll have
somebody pointed out I represented my sport at the highest level available in my country, and you didn't.
Oh, my God. You're going to compare your football status in Ireland to
I
my
have seen you move around.
Here?
I have seen you move around. I'm just questioning the level of athleticism we're talking about here.
Look, at my peak, I was an exceptional 6'10" athlete.
For a 6'10" person, or for like a regular person?
For 6'10".
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of the point I'm making.
Email tally.
We're
Sam 17, Steve 15.
17 to 15, Sam over me.
I have 3.
Taylor now has 3. Renner still has 4.
You've really got to question how much of yours, though, are just from begging. Like, what is the boost there?
There's no begging.
Organic
I don't beg.
versus begging.
I don't beg.
Emails.
I connect.
All of mine are organic, deserved emails. You begged for emails and you got some.
I connect with people.
Sure.
That's what it is. That'll do it for our emails today. They've been fantastic. Have enjoyed everybody and all of the feedback we're getting on Twitter, the interaction. I love how when something happens during a game and it's like, hey, Sam, Steve, check out this out. It's
Des
something
Bryant,
that related
PD
to the pod, the PD watch, whatever it might be. If you guys are out there too, if you guys are a part of a business, anything. So we complained about the chairs one day.
Yeah.
We might have when somebody stepped up and like, hey, I got good chairs.
We're in talks, yeah. I got some chairs. You might want to sit on them.
Yeah, so
and
we're
frankly, anything that gets me off this chair is a bonus.
If you guys are a part of a business and you're looking to get your name out there, want a nice male demographic, those the money
particularly
makers.
Down now as we enter the holiday stretch.
Yes, particularly during the holidays.
Now's the time to make your money. Advertise on the PFF podcast.
Yes, you guys can hit us up. Let's do it through the podcast email, right? Podcast@profootballfocus.com. So if you guys have any interest advertising on the pod, sponsoring anything on the site or in general during the offseason and draft season, we're open ears if you guys are interested.
Or if you just want to send us any free stuff.
Yeah, just make sure you don't offer the things to Taylor, because he might end up just amassing a whole bunch of free crap
Oh,
that
yeah.
never gets through to us.
Any free stuff, too. New chairs, tables,
Must
decorations.
Must
for
be
the
addressed to
font.
you and me, though, not Taylor.
Yes. Please address to Sam and Steve. That's not a competition. We know that we will properly handle these emails. And of course, if you guys are enjoying all of the stuff we're talking about, want a little bit more as far as the numbers go, profootballfocus.com and PFF Edge and Elite, a place where you guys can get our stats, grades, NFL draft analysis, all of our fantasy tools, and PFF 10. That's how you guys get your $10 off. You get $10 off of Edge, Elite, or Elite Monthly, the new hot product out there. You guys can just test it out for 1 month. Anything else, Sam, before we wrap it up?
No, we're good. Let's get out.
All right, we're done. We'll talk to you guys for the Week 11 preview.